I've never bought Miami. Like, I don't have any futures on them to win the Super Bowl. I don't have any futures on them to do basically anything in a postseason capacity. But yeah, like, it's just they're kind of up against it now. That's really easy to see. And with the schedule that they're playing, I think a lot of outcomes are in play for them that aren't really as good as people thought going in. So yeah, like, we can do Coach of the Year next, and we can do awards certainly. But yeah, like, I think, you look at the AFC, who won last night. Like, Baltimore won huge last night. Baltimore is going to get these teams to come to their place a lot of the time now. Maybe they beat San Francisco Christmas night. Maybe they don't. And like, however you feel about the Ravens, and I'm like really skeptical that I ever want them in a postseason situation, honestly. But however you feel about them, the draw is getting better and better here as some of these teams start to get knocked off, and it becomes more possible, more likely that they get the number one seed, and people have to go to that place, and it's a tough place to go and play a game. And Kansas City might have to go there, and Miami might have to go there, and Buffalo may have to go there, and that matters. So, Baltimore definitely won. Kansas City won, but like, Baltimore is going to be the one more often. So I think like they're the big winner from last night. Yeah, it's all, very predictable kind of negative Miami implications going forward.
And I think a big win, I know you alluded to this in your answer, like a big win for Buffalo, like for the Bills, and obviously like coin flippy game coming up on Sunday for the Bills, like at home against the Cowboys. But they win that game with the way that this is going to run out for Buffalo. So Justin Herbert, and this should come as no surprise to anyone. We haven't done it on the show yet. Justin Herbert's done for the year. So he's placed on season-ending injured reserve by the Chargers. Going to undergo surgery, right, on the fracture that he has in his index finger on his throwing hand. So he's done for the year. So we knew he would miss Thursday night's game against the Raiders. Now he won't play until next season, which means that on Saturday, December 23rd, the Bills get Easton Stick. And not that they were like not going to win the game anyway with Herbert playing, but like now it feels like they're a lot more likely to win the game with Easton Stick. Then it's Bailey Zappi at home in week 17, and then on the road at Miami in week 18. Remember, they beat Miami. They blew Miami out back in week 3. So I think it's if Ken Buffalo gets past Dallas, you would imagine that Miami still has to play Dallas. Miami's got to go to Baltimore. Miami might lose on Sunday to the Jets. We'll talk about that game. Like, Miami drops one and Buffalo wins the rest of theirs going into week 18. Like, that's winning in. Like, winner of that game wins the AFC East and gets a home game in the first round of the playoffs. And, I mean, look, like, of course Miami can win that game. Like, of course they can. Like, Tyreek could be fully healthy for that game. Miami could run up a ton of points in that game. Definitely. Just, I don't know, the way I kind of think about that game, I think I'd have a hard time thinking that Buffalo wouldn't be riding a ton of momentum in that spot. I still think Miami's in, and I like Miami, but to your point, Ken, just to like really pound it home, like it's a terrible night last night for the Miami Dolphins. Like a terrible, no good, awful night for the Miami Dolphins. Also, Mike McDaniel, call more run plays, moron.
I know you're really excited about Buffalo. I think a lot of people are really excited about Buffalo. I'm excited about them because we bet them before all this happened, and now all those bets have improved really well. Like, I have a matchup of them in San Francisco in the Super Bowl that's like already been cut in like, I think it was like 58-1, and now it's like 20-1 that they're going to play in the Super Bowl or something. Like, that's great. Awesome. Like, no problem. I guess my problem with like the division stuff now, or betting Buffalo now, it's not that it's like a bad, it's definitely not, it doesn't have to be a bad bet. Like, we could be in the middle of an arc. Like, we don't have to be at the end of it, but just a lot of good things have already happened and everyone's seen them happening. So like, in order to buy Buffalo now, you have to feel like there's actually even more good stuff ahead. Like, you never want to bet based on what just happened. And I know like sports works this way, where like everything on television is reactive. It's all what just happened. It's all who just won. It's all that guy sucks or that guy's great. And it's all about what happened already. And like, betting, at least like season-long betting or like awards or futures or anything, has like actually nothing to do with that, and has only to do with what is to come, because that is how prices are going to change and improve and like go in certain directions. So like, yeah, Buffalo can win the division. Sure. Yeah, they got way more likely to win the division because Miami lost and because they beat Kansas City. Also, everyone knows that and saw that, and that's in this. So, like, in order to make the bet, you have to be even more bullish than what's already happened. And I say it doesn't have to be a bad bet for this reason. If you really like Buffalo against Dallas on Sunday, then that's like another in to bet more Buffalo. Like, if you think they're really likely to win that game, they're only a 2.5-point favorite in the market right now. That's what's built into the AFC East pricing. Like, that's a coin flip. If you don't think it's a coin flip and you love Buffalo, I would say just bet Buffalo in the game, but like, okay, then you could still buy Buffalo because you think that there's more good stuff on the way. Like, it's just, I think sometimes it's like, it's always the thing that just happened oh, well, we got to go bet that guy to win an award because, like, he just won. Be like, no, he just won. It's already in there. Like, now, what's the next thing that's going to happen? What's the next game that's going to get played? Like, that's what you have to be thinking about. Like, what are the Dolphins going to be the rest of the season? One of their offensive linemen, Connor Williams, was declared out for the year a little while ago. Not sure if you saw that. Tyreek Hill day-to-day with his ankle injury. You know, I think some people have thought maybe Super Bowl champ for this team. Then it's kind of like, all right, can they beat anybody good? Are they even like a good playoff? Like, where is Miami for you kind of in the context of the AFC off last night's game?
I mean, you know, for me, it's like, you know, they have a lot of flash. You know what I'm saying? They have a lot of flash, but not a lot of substance as a team. You know what I mean? So when it comes to me, I think obviously they have a great offense. They have talent everywhere. They even have talent, you know, on defense. You know, they have corners. You know, they have good. Sorry, I got these dogs. They got corners. They have good defensive ends. You know, they have obviously speed everywhere. But the situation is when it comes down to it, they never win the big games, right? Last night wasn't a big game for them, but at the end of the day, it's a winnable game, and they have to win that to show, you know, who they are as far as when it comes in the AFC. Also, they had a chance to, and they still have a chance to obviously get the number one seed. They lost last night, kind of hinders them on that. So, you know, to me, I never saw them as a Super Bowl contender or, you know, or even somebody who can potentially make the Super Bowl because they just cannot win the big game, and they can't beat them. You know, first of all, they beat themselves a lot.
So what do you make of this game on Sunday, Ken? Miami 9 against the Jets at BetMGM, total 39.5.
And not just Tim Boyle, and this goes without saying, I guess, but like on the road too. So like if you're looking to be like, well, how can it be the same number? I'd be like, well, because home field advantage is like different in both places. So it's like Boyle and that kind of like I agree with you, like obscures the difference. Where it's like, can we take anything away from that? Where I'm not. I mean, I'll just speak for myself. Like I'm not using the Black Friday game as some like anchor to make decisions in this game. Like Tim Boyle started. And the Dolphins were not nearly as hurt as they are coming into this game. So I don't know if there's a lot to take away necessarily. Like where like, well, they did this, so it has to be the same, or the market has to be the same or anything. So I would just start by saying that just from a mathematical standpoint, like the tools in your toolbox you can use to make bets. There are 8.5s on this game everywhere right now. I'm looking at a board that's about 90% 8.5s, even though MGM's dealing 9. 8.5 obviously brings to mind the 2-team 6-point teaser, which means like Miami does qualify now, like basically as a result of looking so bad last night and Tyreek Hill's availability being in question. You do have the ability to tease Miami almost just to win the game right now against Zach Wilson at home. So as much as Miami leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth because of what they did yesterday, they were also up 14 without Tyreek Hill with 3 minutes left. And now you can tease them to beat Zach Wilson at home. Just gonna like throw that out there for everybody because I know everyone's like trying to pile on how bad Miami is right now. They were up 2 touchdowns with 3 minutes left, and you get to basically just have to beat Zach Wilson now, and you win half of a bet. That's the start of this for me. Is now the ability to get that number and do this because of what's happening with Miami. I think that's a buy. In terms of just like the overall side and total market, you know, it'll move as Tyreek Hill moves a little bit. Right? Like if he gets more likely to play, this probably gets bet up a little bit more. If he isn't going to play, we saw how bad it was. It's also, though, worth noting, I'm going to guess, and McDaniel, like, you know, I talked a lot about after the game about like he could have done some stuff differently or whatever. Always different to be thrown a really significant injury in the middle of a game as opposed to having a week where you know it's a possibility that player's not going to play. So like I also don't think like, because I think a lot of people it's going to be if Tyreek Hill misses like, oh my God, did you see what happened against Tennessee when he was out of the game? Look how terrible it looked. And the Jets defense is really good and like they can hold up, just like it's way different to have even a quarterback injury. It'd be the same thing. Like, yeah, the guy gets all week to prepare for the game. That's going to be a little different than, hey, go in and do something different. I think Tyreek Hill, it's honestly no different with Jalen Waddle having to do more and having to call the game completely differently. So I'm like still not like out on Miami in a bunch of these situations. Do I want him in a huge game against the Bills at the end? No. Do I want him against Dallas? Probably not. But like to beat Zach Wilson, to you be able to use that teaser now at this price, like I'm almost looking at this as like thank you for losing and blowing this 14-point lead. Like now I get to make this bet.
If Tyreek's out, what do you think the point spread's going to be? And we think he's going to play. Just
I don't think it'll be 7. I don't think it'll be 7. It'll be a little less than this. I don't know, something that's not 7.
Now it was worth noting, like they were up 14 at the end of the game. I think like me, you, and like Alex and Jake and company here and Tyler, I think we could have maybe scored a couple touchdowns with the way they gifted Miami the ball in the red zone there with those 2 fumbles towards the end of the game. I'm a little unclear about what I want to do. And Ken, like I said, you make a good case potentially for Miami, at least in a teaser leg, right? How bad they looked. It is still Zach Wilson. Part of me feels like the Jets are just going to win this game. And part of me feels like the Giants have a good chance to win against the Saints on Sunday also. So look, we'll analyze both games and I'll give you my thoughts on both games individually. But I'm thinking about spreading the news and leaving today. We haven't done the New York moneyline parlay since October 2021. Coincidentally enough, the Giants also were in New Orleans for that one and won that game in overtime with Joe Judge still as the coach. In the Saquon Barkley, amazing overtime in fourth quarter. The Giants winning that game at New Orleans, and the Jets the winless Jets at the time, beat the Tennessee Titans 27-24 that day also. So I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I do think that the Jets are live in the game. I would never lay Miami at this number. Maybe it is Miami in a teaser, and I'll give some time to think about the game this week. But I do think, Ken, that the Jets are going to be frisky in this game. I do not think that Miami blows them out. Maybe they win by 3, right, or win by 4, and they cover a teaser leg. I don't think Miami wins this game by 10 or more. If I had to bet the side right now, just like 9 or 8.5, bet the side, I think I would take the points with the Jets.